Well, this is one game that I'll probably never beat, so I might as well drop this one now. I tried, it just wasn't good enough. Time Soldiers was originally an arcade game which was released in 1987 by Alpha Denshi and published by SNK. It was later ported to a bunch of different systems such as the Amiga, Atari ST, Commodore 64, before ending up on the Sega Master System in 1989. There's not much of a plot to this one. In fact, it's mentioned in the very first couple of sections after you pass the title screen, with the evil Gylend capturing 5 of your comrades and placing them somewhere within 5 different time periods, from the Primitive Age, the Age of Rome, the World Wars, the Age of War, and Future World. Time Soldiers is a rare breed for the Sega Master System as it allows for a 2-player simultaneous overhead shooting experience alongside the single player. The idea for each level is to get to the right time period by jumping through time portals scattered throughout the stages, and then fight off against the boss of that era in order to get the prisoner. You start off in a random time period, and the item pickups seem to be randomized, so each time you play it you do get a slightly different experience, although eventually you do end up playing the same levels. Graphically, the game does look good with a fair amount of variety in the sprites, and each of the time periods does look noticeably different. The best visuals are reserved for the big boss sprites, which take up a large portion of the screen. Now, the game does tend to slow down when there's a large amount of bullets on the screen, and glitching does tend to happen quite often whilst in the multiplayer mode, but apart from that, it looks fine. Gameplay wise, you are allowed 2 different guns at a time. Your default pea shooter has a limited range, and I would recommend getting an upgrade as soon as possible. The second button serves as your special weapon and gives you a lot more power and most importantly a longer range. But this weapon is limited, so you have to be careful when you use it. Preferably you should use it when one of the many mini bosses turn up at the end of every section. The game is made even more difficult due to the speed of the character. They move so slowly in comparison to the enemies and their bullets that you are often at a disadvantage. Well, until you can get the speed power up. But I think it only lasts until the continue goes. You can dodge most of the enemies in the stage, but those mini bosses have a much faster fire rate than you and move much faster than you, meaning you almost certainly lose your lives at these sections. It really does feel like this game should be played with dual stick controls, as often you need to be running while shooting behind you. It's a shame really that the devs didn't add a feature to use 2 controllers for 1 player, but that would probably mean dropping the 2-player mode, so I don't think there's a 4-way tap on the Master System. I'm pretty sure there isn't. Overall, it's a reasonably good game, and one that I've never actually managed to finish. As a novelty of being one of those rare instances of being a 2-player game, it's certainly worth a play, but on the basis of things, it's a fairly standard shooter that is a decent challenge and is well worth adding to collection. I've seen other people actually beat this game on YouTube, but for some reason the mini bosses seem to go down a lot quicker in those playthroughs. Literally going down in 2 or 3 hits. I'm not sure why that is. I mean, they always take a lot longer whenever I play it, but nevertheless, I'll give it a go and I'll try and get as far as I can.